Welcome, everyone. Gonna play a short song while everybody's getting settled. What if you got feeling? Cause gentle fire when you burn. Dori, Moonlight, Dori, Dori, Moonlight, Dori, Moonlight, Dori. Peaceful serenity for all night. We are grateful for the sky, for the sky, only best medicine for you. What if you don't feel? Cause a gentle path when you break. Peaceful serenity for all night. And feel it on. I feel it on. We are grateful for the sky as it is. Story in the sky, the story in the sky, the sky. So welcome everyone. So happy to see everybody tonight to walk in the moonlight with us, with EarthStock Wisdom Council. And the beautiful night here. The moon is so pretty. It's a super moon, and that means it's really close to the earth. And there's the partial eclipse coming up, like around 10:30, I think. So it's going to be a big time for changes, and that's a good thing. We're kind of restructuring EarthStock after the summit. And we're excited about some new possibilities and some new opportunities coming up. But tonight we're going to talk about relationships with land, with ourselves, which means all of us, and with all life. Estee's going to start us off talking about decolonization, and that's the relationship with ourselves, two-legged relationships. And then hopefully Michael will be here to talk about his relationship and experience with land. And Pati in Brazil may talk about that as well after Michael. And then I'll wrap us up with all life, relationships with all life. Let that sink in. Just really feel into that one. Feel into all of them, really, because they are all beautiful opportunities to deepen our connections. So we indigenize our gatherings by starting with the song. The song you heard was one that I recorded from the bears about a year ago, just as we entered their birthing season. Did you know bears can conceive and just put that on pause until they're ready to begin their season? Just sits there. That embryo just sits there and waits until the nature conditions around them are right to start growing and developing. Bears are truly amazing. And as that was happening, they came along here on our sacred mountain, Adagul, which means helping many people. And we are the people who resisted both removal on the Trail of Tears and the reservation called Cherokee by the federal government. We resisted by hiding in these mountains. And this sacred mountain continues to support appropriate resistance. And that's a little bit of what we're going to talk about tonight as well. So the bears came along and they gave me this song, and it was for the water because the water levels were so low I could barely even see the water here in the spring. And they're low again this year, but not quite as low as they were last year when the bears gave me this song. But it was an amazing gift. And I'm happy to say that this song is going to be part of the Emoto Water Festival that's coming up on the 21st and 22nd in Japan. Pamela sent them a recording, a shorter version of what you just heard, and they're bringing a lot of indigenous prayers and songs together. Of course, our songs are our prayers. So we'll be part of that ceremony, and I encourage all of you to find the link on my Facebook page and join that ceremony as well for the autumn equinox. So if you're ready, SD, I would love to ask you if you have a song you want to open with, and talk to us as long as you want to about decolonization and relationships with each other.
Okay. Hey ya, way ya, hey ya, way ya, hey ya, way ya, hey, way ya, way ya, hey ya, way ya, hey ya, way ya, hey, way ya, way ya, hey ya, way ya, hey ya, way ya, hey, way ya, way ya, hey ya, way ya, hey ya, way ya, hey. Hey ya, way ya, hey ya, way ya, hey ya, way ya, hey, way ya, way ya, hey ya, way ya, hey ya, way ya, hey, way ya, way ya, hey ya, way ya, hey ya, way ya, hey, way ya, way ya, hey ya, way ya, hey ya, way ya, hey. So speaking about land and relationship, so I think personally speaking, that it's very important to have a relationship with the land on which we live. that's one of the things that colonization has broken the connection with, because as I see it, the earth is more than dirt. Dirt is good, but it's much more than that. And so in thinking about that land and relationship, it's like, there's a practice that I do when I can remember to, and that is to go out at first light and pray with cornmeal. This to make an offering to the earth, to the four directions, Great Spirit, and I feel better when I start days like that. And sometimes I get so caught up I forget to do it. But a practice like that is good to keep oneself attuned to the earth. We live in a colonized society. And to me, part of that colonization is rooted in the belief derived from Scripture that that man has dominion over all things. So I think indigenous people think more like we're two-leggeds and we share this earth with the four-leggeds and the winged ones. And our lives are intertwined, and human lives are not necessarily better than any other life form. As a matter of fact, I've heard it said, if the ants all died out, the whole system would fall apart. But if humanity died out, there would be little change, except that there would be more growth of the wild things. So I think, that humility is one of those things that has been lost and is a very important part of the connection that we have with the land, that we should walk upon this earth with much humility and gratitude. In the founding of the United States of America was very much connected with the wisdom of the Haudenosaunee people and the Great Law of Peace, because it was a functioning democracy with individual freedom as a part of it, and the power of women as a part of it, and equality as a part of it. But those things they missed. They got the structure, part of the structure they got, but they missed some of the important parts. So still, the way I think of it is the peacemaker who brought that teaching to the people, in a sense, could be said to be the spiritual father, if you will, of this country, because they did take his symbol that he gave the people, which was the eagle grasping the arrows, which was 5 arrows for the 5 nations. They took that and they put 13 arrows for the 13 original colonies. So spiritually, I think that there's a great debt that is owed to that spiritual being who came to the Haudenosaunee. Just like the white buffalo calf woman came to the Lakota Sioux Nation and brought teachings to live by. And I think in these teachings, there is much wisdom that is important to acknowledge and to live our lives by, to live in a balanced way upon this Mother Earth. So, thinking about colonization and decolonization, I think before we can even get to that, I think there has to be reconciliation. As to recognize what has been done, especially in the last couple of 100 years, to this Mother Earth, to create imbalance, and so to right the balance, to put oneself in balance, I think it needs to start with the individual. But hopefully, different individuals coming to that realization, putting energy into it, can have a wide-reaching effect on society. The tribes that have, whose traditional teachings have inspired me greatly have been the Hopi and the Kogi. Because the Hopi teaching prophecy says that there's one that's called the spots on the fawn. Like a young fawn has a brown coat with white spots. And they say that the earth is like that there are centers of power that it's very important not to spoil those, to keep those pure, to maintain the balance that is necessary for the world to be in balance, for the people to be in balance, because it is in the traditional teachings that is said, what we do affects everything. And science has confirmed that if you can change a part, the whole is affected by that. So there are different practices that are done by different peoples around the world. And the Kogi, they make pagamento, they make offerings to the earth at certain spots. There's some tribes that do dances that are designed for that same thing, to maintain balance. So around the world, there are people doing these things. And so my idea, what I would like to get to at some point, is to have ceremonies of reconciliation with the earth, that people come together and participate in, and with our offerings, with our communication to the earth, and with our prayer, that we could create more of a balance. But there's a lot of work to be done in that area, because if I look around, I see all the time how disconnected and how imbalanced our life is. There are things that going on this earth that are so against the balance and the flourishing of life. There are crimes of humanity going on, crimes against humanity. There's genocide going on there's slavery going on. There's the pollution of the natural world going on. So there's a lot to deal with in this world that we're living in. So what I was thinking earlier today is how we're talking about the founding of this country, and you know, the myth that we have inherited is that this country is very special because it's based on freedom and liberty. But for the most part, what I see, freedom and liberty are good things, but how they are practiced is very important, because too much it has been the freedom to exploit and the liberty to oppress. And we've seen that acted out so much in the history of this country, and the near annihilation of the buffalo, and the Trail of Tears, and the genocide of indigenous peoples, and the wars of colonization. So there's a lot to reconcile with, and I don't imagine, I can't say I have a lot of the answers to that, but I see the need for it. And I see reconciliation must come before decolonization. They're very much connected. So maybe that's food for thought, what I can contribute today from my own perspective and from my own heart.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, SD. I just want to call in my river basin at this time, and I use my ancestral language because my ancestors come in with the river when I speak in that language. So I want to acknowledge my river basin, Wayumi Ganaita Takiosti, the long man whose head is on this sacred mountain and his feet are in the sea. And we are in the wide spot where they race on the river. And in our relationship with land, indigenous people acknowledge the land of other peoples. If we enter that land, we show up acknowledging the river basin of that land, peoples of that land, the spirits of the land, the ancestors who are of that land, literally of that land. And it's beautiful to really reflect on that. Usually when we show up here, you know, if we do have mics open, which we don't at this time, but we will in the discussion period of this gathering, we acknowledge our river basin and the original inhabitants of the land where we are. And that is relationship. That is walking in relationship with land in a very deep elemental way. And with ourselves and with each other, you know, human to human. Especially if I am going to do ceremony on the lands of another peoples, I will go to someone who has a strong relationship through ceremony with the land, and I will just speak with them and tell them what I came for and what I'd like to do, and ask if the land has anything to offer in that. If the land that they are connected with and have relationship with feels a need for anything from me, or feels the need not to do something, if that person isn't comfortable with the ceremony I'm hoping to hold, then we'll talk about it. And that is the respect that I like to receive when someone comes into our Salagi homeland here. Just the difference it makes to acknowledge my relationship with my ancestors. I am on ancestral lands that go all the way back to my 3 grandmothers who were of the ancient ones, going back to the first village on this oldest mountain on Turtle Island. And like SD, I was reflecting last night on my relationship with land, and I realized for the first time that I had moved outside of the river basins surrounding this particular mountain where my ancestors are from for 4 years of my life, and it was a very difficult time for me. It really made an impact on my physical life, my existence, my health, my relationships all around me. Everything changed during that time in my life. And I like to encourage people to reach back to the ancestors before the names, before they knew of anything, of the people we spoke with or knew of. If you can reach back to the beginning of this age and this wave of humans where we all share ancestors, and ask them for help in this work to heal the harm that's been done, and to reconcile, and to really go to a very deep level of opportunity to relate to the land, to ourselves, and to all life. My walk with all life has been very connected to the land because I live on this sacred mountain, and I go out every morning and I connect with the sun as she comes over the mountain. And I connect with the trees. There's a mama tree on this land. Every land has a mama tree, actually. You can identify that tree just by feeling the vibrations, feeling the frequencies, feeling the connection with the tree, and also with the plants on the land when they are left in their natural state. Before I realized this, I looked for years for our original tobacco, which was the lobelia, and I couldn't find it anywhere. I saw it in the botanical gardens, which is about 5 miles down the mountain towards the river, and it was taller than I was at the time, than I am now. It was so big and beautiful. And then one day I happened to be walking the ridge line here on the mountain, and I turned the corner in the sunlight on the south facing slope just in time to catch a flower blossom on the lobelia plant. And I saw it, and I knew I had to come back after it had gone into seed. So I did that, and I didn't know where the plant wanted to grow. There's very little sunlight in the forest. So I did what I could, and then a few years later, that plant just started to appear in the most unusual places. And it was amazing to try and identify it because it was about 1 foot tall. And that's as tall as it gets here in the canopy of the forest. But it is the beautiful lobelia plant, and I can tell by touching its leaf, because its leaf feels like human skin. It's a very delicate leaf, at least it is here on this mountain, very delicate. And it has this little vessel of a flower that's a beautiful color of blue. My father's from the Blue clan, the Medicine clan, and my mother's Deer clan, and we're very connected to the land and the flowers and the plant medicines. And I realized that that is relationship, that is connection to all life around us. to the wild animals. I see more wild animals face to face than I see humans face to face by choice. And the relationship to the water brings me songs. And when I commune with these lives around me, it's not in English. It's in feelings. It's in synchronicities. It's in things that grab our attention or speak gently to us again and again and again. So that's my walk in the moonlight with land, with ourselves, and with all life. And I see that Michael Dimartino has joined us. I'd like to ask him to briefly share his walk with land, and if he wants to speak of the other two topics, I'll leave that up to him. Pamela, can you ask Michael to unmute? Yeah.
Great. Well, before I say anything, and I always appreciate deep listening, and thank you, Gail, for those words of wisdom and for holding this space of connection. I just wanted to acknowledge and honor my brother and a member of Wisdom Council, SD Youngwolf. And also, it's great to see Pachi Mama, Patricia here from Brazil, who I know has been connecting and working with the Grandmother Council. So before I say anything, I just want to acknowledge them, and if they have anything they would like to share before I speak.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. SC already spoke while we were waiting for you, and
Okay.
Patty's going next.
Great.
We're balancing masculine and feminine, walking together.
So was Patricia wanting to share something now?
She can go now, or she can go after you in the masculine feminine balance.
Okay.
Okay, I'll say something now because I cannot stay to the very end because it's eclipsy here and there's some work we're going to be doing. Well, thank you so all for being here and listening to SD and you, Gail, and the energy that's here present, because to me, the relationship that I have with nature and how I've been walking this path ever since I'm here, it's if we don't have a connection with nature, that's it. In Brazil, for example, or in South America, when the Portuguese came and the Spaniards came, like SD was explaining about the colonization, here it was just dramatic because the indigenous people were put aside. I mean, you know, they had to hide. They were, you know, it was really, and to this day, there's a power over, even in the DNA of people of the natives. They're always expecting that, you know, there's a control, you know, like when I come and they say, oh, but nobody talks with us like that, you know, because it's so ingrained in the power over. But what I wanted to share is my connection with nature, because I see in the traditions that I follow so much need to really bring it within us, you know. That's why I went into the inner alchemy of the Taoism for 20 years ago, where what's out there is within us, and I study that whole relationship of the elements and how that flows within us, the water, the wood, the fire, the earth, you know, everything is so interrelated. The seasons are within us, you know, the winter, the spring, the summer, you know, it's such a close relationship. So I dove deep into that, even though, you know, I'm connected with my tradition also, but that brought me a lot of, you know, practice of seeing how that affects me within, you know, when I'm angry or when I'm jealous, where is that? That's wood, that's the liver, that's this, that's that, this, what can I do about it, And I've been on a place of myself of no judgment, neither, here in Brazil, we have now left and right, just, about to jump to, and I say, no, I'm neither left nor right. I'm right in the middle, in the path of heart, connecting with the heart, or at least that's my focus. And I've been seeing something I mentioned about the natural world and the normal world. Normal is what I would call artificial, and natural world is what's here. And we've been socialized, domesticated. This is how things are, and we lost contact. To me, my whole focus here, working with the woman that I work with, is bringing back this connection with themselves, with their nature, with their real nature. Who am I? It's not about what my husband, the authority, or someone expects from me. So I work in that direction. My NGO is a beautiful paradise. I sent to Michael many times the sunset, because as a practice, like SD was talking about his practice, my practice is every single day I go see the sunset, the sun go down, every single day. And today especially, it was wow. And on the other side, the moon was, both of them, were there, the sun and the moon. So to me, that's what has moved me along my life, and more so in the recent years, is how can we bring that connection, that relationship with ourselves, because nature is within us, and with what is out there, and bring people out to, as you were talking about the what you have. I have every day I wake up with a bird on my window, beating on the glass. Okay, thank you. And the flowers, you were talking about a bird, colibri, I don't know what bird you said, or a flower. And I'm looking here at my terrace. I wish I could show you this amazing, amazing flowers that let's see if I can show it. I don't know if it's going to work. Look at this. And the birds come here to get their little honey out of here. So I mean, this is what I'm surrounded with, and that's what I'm trying to bring more and more closer to people, is nature, this relationship. To me, this is the basic. So that's enough said here right now. I want to hear Michael also and see what he has to share with us right now before I leave. But I'm very happy that we can do that. I believe we can. People are so, it's impossible. Humans are this, humans are. No, it is possible. Otherwise, I would have thrown myself, already gotten rid of myself, if I didn't believe it's possible. I really believe we all have limitations, but we can go beyond it. So thank you for listening. And Michael, your turn.
Beautiful, Pati. Thank you.
Good to see you, Pachimama. And it's good to see other names I recognize on this call. And I just wanted to say it's so incredible. I'm looking to how today is a super moon. It's also a full moon. We're also in the sign of Aries right now, and just kind of looking into more about this eclipse and some of the profound symbolism. Because for me, as much as I retreated into the heart of nature 4 years ago from California, where I was involved in a lot of social work and water protection and working with different indigenous communities, and just really trying to take on a lot to evolve the human condition. It wasn't until really the advent of the pandemic and moving to the Rockies and really releasing everything, like the hub, which I created, which Marcia, who's also part of the Grandmother Council, is part of, and all this work, and I just released it, and I surrendered to the intelligence and the simplicity of nature. And there was a time of what I would say regenerating, like letting all of these concepts and thoughts and perceptions and perspectives and preceptions of who I am and what am I supposed to be doing, that regenerative process gave me the ability to just release everything, and kind of, the old saying is becoming like a hollow reed. And at that moment, in what they say in Buddhism of emptiness, I actually was able to truly reconnect with nature and nature's intelligence, and feel that beauty within me as me, and getting to embody that connection with the natural world, especially here in Crestone, where we have these 15,000 foot mountains, and it's a desert. There's not a lot of socializing or distraction here, and really just got into a very surrendered, comfortable place. The joke I made is I took up counting clouds as a career. And in Buddhism, they say the clouds are our thoughts, and the empty sky is the nature of our consciousness that connects with everything. So I really, even though nature has always been very prevalent in my life, it gave me the opportunity just to empty out all of the baggage and the human stuff, to be able to receive this incredible gift. And it really, even right now, speaking with words, it's hard to really express what that was, because again, they are words, and even with language, sometimes language carries certain meanings or understandings, or people will interpret words in a certain way. But it just brought me, and again, hearing Gail speak, and excuse me, hearing Patricia speak, there was just a feeling that came up through the words of this essence of connection to land, that is so transcendent. So I was just finishing an amazing call, so I apologize for running a few minutes late, because I was always looking to participate and support this time together. But I'm not sure what SD said, but as I was making the transition from an amazing call, which is about land, working with land, earthworks, sustainability, regenerative solutions, incredible, things that are happening right now, I believe as a definite result of the EarthStock Summit and the whole extended ceremony of that experience. And also the participation by many of the Wisdom Council members that showed up, who are not only genetically but spiritually carrying some of this traditional knowledge, including SD, including Patricia, who made an incredible pilgrimage. So much love and respect for her journey there, and Gail with the transformational dance, but also other members from the Four Corners Native community that showed up, from Ukwala, from Havasupai in the Grand Canyon, Ruben Sofke of the Hopi, also having some of the elders and the drummers and singers from Taos Pueblo reach out to us, asking if they would be welcomed at the event, and then many others from even a more expanded region. So it was very difficult in doing the event, because I will say there's no one particular person or tribe who's claimed this as their particular territory. And we were in communication with Chief Joseph Osage, who wasn't able to make it to the event, who's Cheyenne, who just got some traditional lands back to the north of us. But looking back at the experience, from the first night, the full moon, the moonbow, the full moon rainbow that appeared, the rainbow during the global drumming. And I will say, even the lead up to the event, with having Adam Diamant here, and Patricio from the Eagle Condor Council, and others, really, and just the whole, even beyond that, just the whole potentiality of this unified collective consciousness, and feeling how the land was responding to that I mean, the rain that we've had this year, the blooming of wildflowers, the full moon. I mean, everything was just really beyond words. So I felt really nourished and supported. And then, as I was making the transition to this call, some of the words that came up for me, and I guess it's kind of like if we look at the universe as dualistic, some of the things that came up to me were like, and again, I'm just going to say, I don't know why it came in, just how sometimes there's this matrix of programming that happens in the human world, whether it's our own preception or perception, our genetic astrology, our ancestral lineage, our karma, whatever we bring. But then on top of that, we add these concepts of, colonialization, appropriation, also, entitlement, and then how that relates to, for me, the human element as we interface with nature. And like the Hopi elders I worked with, grandfather David Monunge and Thomas Banyaka, they said we're in this time of Koyaanisqatsi. The whole value system of humanity is upside down. Like we put wealth and power and physical beauty and sexuality, like all these things are at the top of the pyramid. Well, in actuality, the spiritual values are now subverted and don't carry the gravity or the essence that they actually have in many traditional cultures. And as we see in nature, it's like looking at Darwinism, survival of the fittest. Well, we've actually learned that that's not true. It's survival of the most collaborative. So looking back at the Hopi message of, Koyaanisqatsi, the world out of balance, and this idea of the great purification, which they say we're in now, where all the elements will crescendo to bring humanity to a higher pinnacle of harmony and unity and understanding with nature, not just with people. And this is where the nature piece comes in, or we won't. And that nature will rebalance itself. And by rebalancing itself, all those who aren't in balance with nature will be part of this great purification. And that's a very loaded statement because we have our spiritual, mental, physical, and emotional selves. So maybe some of us will go through emotional purification or a spiritual purification or purification of our concepts and ideas. And maybe part of the purification, some people won't have a physical body on the planet anymore. But it's just fascinating to me to see the human element juxtaposed here during the event and in general, during the summit, but also, the 4 years that I've just, I really was happy, completely surrendering to being empty and being nobody, and just being here in right relationship with the land. And like everyone was saying, waking up, acknowledging the water, acknowledging elementals, acknowledging the sun, just the purity and the simplicity that comes out of that. So for me, relationship with the land is the medicine. It's the good medicine. It's the healing that brings us into right balance outside of all the human stuff, which is related to nature because we have all the elements, but the ability to continue to do the purification and to do the appeasement work, to do the work with the elementals, the ancestrals, and almost, if not every day, at least every week, I'm always asking for permission to be on this incredible sacred land and really to try to walk in a more balanced and harmonious way. So for me, the land is the medicine. And as crazier and more divisive as humanity gets, as more politicized and commodified everything is happening, and it's painful to say that because human beings have so much potential. There's so much beauty. I retreat back to nature to come back to my own place of balance, and again, biomimicry to put myself in a state of openness enough where I can learn and reflect on nature's intelligence and get out of my own limited human perception of reality. So it's the big medicine.
Thank you, Michael. It is that, yeah. And so we have about 10 more minutes for open discussion and questions. If anybody would like to ask anything or talk about anything. Yeah, Trisha, come on. Can you
Did it?
unmute?
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Something that I didn't mention, it's like I'm even grateful for some absurdities that are happening because it's the only way people are awakening. Here in Brazil, we are having so many fires put up by people, you know, and Sao Paulo, it's not only the pollution of the city, but it's my daughter that lives there. It's coming from the Amazon, from Pantanal, the smoke is coming all the way in. So it's unbearable. It's become the most polluted city of the world because of these fires. And but that's bringing an awakening because suddenly people are saying, "Oh, something's happening." You know, if it weren't like a crash like that, they say, "Oh, no climate change. No, I don't believe in this." But this is bringing direct experience with where we are at this moment, and Brazil is really receiving. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry to jump in, but I remember that I wanted to share that because that's on a side, it's good, you know, because people are finally being aware, becoming more aware because it's direct. Okay, so that's it for now.
Thank you. Yeah, that is important. Our direct experience. That is how the indigenous people roll with our direct experience. And that's how we walk. You know, our ancient language is verb-based. So try that. And if you're having a sleepless night, you know, how do you switch from noun-based to verb-based? It's an amazing opportunity to realize the difference. And I'll give you a little example. Gathering tonight, sharing direct experience, relating to land, to ourselves, and to all life. Feel the difference? You can almost feel a little shift in your brain. Anyone else have comments, questions, or anything? I see a hand, Sylvia. Come on in.
I presence myself between the Scioto and the Olentangy rivers on the traditional lands of the Hopewell, Adena, and Shawnee peoples. And I am about 30 miles from the family home where my mother and father's ashes are part of the land. I am grateful for them both, to them both, for raising me and my brother with connection to the land and to its more than human inhabitants. And I would like to offer this container of water. Sorry, I didn't turn my video on. Which was out in the supermoon light last night to be blessed. I would also like to share my connection with trees. My parents named me Sylvia, womb being of the forest. And one of my practices is what I call tree communion, physically touching them and chanting with them. Loka samasta sukino bhavantu. May we all thrive. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Sylvia. Come on in. Anybody who wants to share, come on in. Uta, we haven't heard from you. Do you have anything you want to share tonight? Or questions or anything?
Well, having been listening to all of you, it appears to me that I have to reframe my relationship with the land I'm presently living on. I haven't thought about it that way, that there might be a special purpose of being here right now. And I suppose I have to do a lot of feeling into that. Mhm.
Beautiful. Thank you, Uta. And I think I remember you're in Germany, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, what part of Germany are you in?
It's more or less the middle on the west side. So it's rather close to the Netherlands. Yeah, and the part which is really weighing heavily on my heart, that I'm presently living right in the middle of the weapons industry of World War II.
Oof.
And it shows in everyday life, everywhere, in the way people are not awakening, in the way people are not opening up. Yeah, I have to feel deeper into that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that with us.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Anyone have closing remarks before we sing our gratitude and close our gathering tonight?
Well, if possible, I'd like to share a song.
Please, yes.
Okay. So just, and I just want to thank what was just shared too, because I know it's easy if we all want to always do spiritual bypass and sugarcoat everything. But, we're a week away from the International Day of Peace. And, I was invited to San Francisco to come and do something and do some journalism. And as much as I feel like, oh, I want to go there and present about peace, like, in, at times when I'm in my most humble presence, I feel the peace of nature with me. And I definitely have people I feel very peaceful with, that we just elevate each other. But I have to say, like, a peace event at this time on the planet, and I know it's World Water Day and there's a lot of great stuff happening. I just have to say it just feels like such a paradox. Like, let's come and talk about peace and celebrate peace. And you know, meanwhile, it's like I see such a lack of peace. And I don't say that with any judgment, just in the world. So it's just been something like, you know, should I really go there? What can I contribute that's of value? So I say that because what was just shared from our sister from Europe, it's like, you know, we can sugarcoat stuff, but there's a lot of shadow and a lot of suffering in the world. I know we had our fire ceremony this morning, and we did prayers for more peace, more compassion, more respect towards the land. And when we do this, we feel a lot of that shadow and a lot of that suffering. It's not just, you know, singing kumbaya and throwing flower petals out. It's like, you know, to really feel that can be really hard. So I just wanted to acknowledge that being brought up, especially for those of us that have, you know, European ancestors. So I appreciate the bravery and the transparency to share that. So so I know we have a little bit of time, and I'm appreciating much more listening these days than having to speak or produce or administrate things. But I have a song that felt very prevalent, especially today. We had this amazing rain. I'm not sure if I need to do background sound for a rattle or not. It's not important to have. Okay.
Yeah, you do.
Okay. So I'm going to just do very briefly a song that was shared to me. Okay. Enable original sound, right? There we go.
Right, right.
Okay. Well, I was going to play my drum, but we had a heavy rain today. So it was kind of like, no, not today. But I would like to just share very briefly in the intelligence of nature and the simplicity of things. And I was really inspired by what Sylvia said about tree medicine, and it's good to see her, and much love and respect. I know she showed up and has been a great ally, and we appreciate her spirit and presence here. So you can hear the shaker, okay?
Yeah.
Standing like a tree with my roots so deep and my branches so wide open. Down comes the rain, out comes the sun to fulfill my every need. Standing like a tree with my roots so deep, with my branches so wide open. Down comes the rain, out comes the sun to fulfill my every need. Maybe I'll do two more if you want to join in. Standing like a tree with our roots so deep and our branches so wide open. Down comes the rain, out comes the sun to fulfill our every need. Standing like a tree with our roots so deep and our branches so wide open. Down comes the rain, out comes the sun to fulfill our every need. Fulfill our every need.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you for bringing all our voices along together. Very sweet. For closing us out, I want to thank Pamela for her help, which is so valuable, and acknowledge her Ottawa River there in Canada. Bring Canada in. One last call if anybody has anything they want to say. Sylvia will play us out with her flute. Please, Sylvia. Thank you all. So much love and gratitude to all of you who gather in this way and build community. May we find the meaningful work that we can do so uniquely from our own gifts together. Until again, we'll walk in the moonlight and the new moon with the Grandmother's Council. Until again. Anito Kami.
Tell that mountain hello, Patricia.